country team.
The best belt in UFC, baby. Right hand. Max Holloway there. Back to the counter. Big left and now a right.
Bad.
Oh my God.
Dustin Poirier.
Holloway shows some mortality.
Look at this. Holloway just told him, stand right here.
Oh, big connection late. Gaethje face first on the canvas. Holloway wins the BFF title.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Whoa. Oh my goodness.
An absolute stunner at UFC 300. One second to go.
X Dustin the Diamond Poirier against 20-year-old Max Holloway.
Dustin Poirier and Max Holloway are two of MMA's golden geese, beloved for both their down-to-earth personalities and their do-or-die fighting styles. As we look forward to a third and final meeting between these two legends of the sport, everyone is reminiscing about their second meeting, the one for the interim lightweight title in 2019. And for good reason. That fight was one of the greatest in the sport's history, and saw a clear back-and-forth tug-of-war between two undisputed legends in their prime. But what about the first fight? When they met on the prelims of UFC 143, the surging prospect Poirier was matched against a 3-0, fresh-faced Max Holloway, who, although making his UFC debut, was brimming with talent far beyond his years. With none of the prestige, but everything to prove, 20-year-old Holloway and 23-year-old Poirier can tell us much about the early strategies of two generational, young mixed martial artists. The opening seconds of a fight can tell a lot about the game plans of either fighter, and here, both men lay their cards bare. They want the center. This aligns with the general styles of both men. In combat sports, the hits that hurt the most are the ones you don't see coming, and the same is true for keeping your most sensitive data safe online. That's why we've partnered with NordPass, the brainchild of NordVPN, world famous for its commitment to user privacy and security. NordPass is a password manager that keeps all of your passwords in one super secure place and syncs them across all of your devices, making logins safe and secure whether you're surfing from a smartphone or a computer. So, if I'm browsing the fight calendar or catching a pay-per-view, NordPass pulls no punches as it lets me seamlessly move between screens without leaving my precious passwords behind. Plus, features like Password Generator and Password Health Tool can help you create ultra-strong passwords while highlighting any potential defensive gaps. Thanks to their state-of-the-art encryption and zero-knowledge architecture, no one can see inside your vault except you. And yes, that even includes NordPass. So, if you believe in defensive responsibility in the ring and online, click our link in the description and try NordPass today. Holloway's pressure tends to revolve around a simple exhaust and overwhelm strategy. He'll pile on with combinations and kicks to all levels in an effort to thoroughly break his opponent. To assert his pace, Holloway employed long techniques that would force Poirier onto the back foot. We see this at the start of the fight with push kicks, an idea that Poirier would snatch for the rematch, as well as flying knees when Poirier got close to the fence. Holloway brought these back for the rematch, but more sparingly and backed up by far superior boxing. Throwing them at such volume in the first fight made them a predictable weapon, and by leaping in the air, Holloway lost the ability to follow up. Without any more threats after the knee, Poirier could just circle back to the center. When Poirier put his pressure on, it was with his patented shifting combinations. This was the crown jewel of young Poirier's game, and it had him surprising opponents with a range only accessible by switching his stance mid-combination. Here, we see Poirier throw a classic southpaw 2-3 combination before switching into orthodox on a follow-up left hand and ending with a low kick. His punches don't land, but because he's gained extra range by stepping through his stance, he can chop away at Holloway's typically vulnerable legs. The striking in this contest is confined by the open stance matchup. One party, Holloway, standing orthodox, and the other, Poirier, standing southpaw. This changes how a fighter can operate in many, many ways. Crucially for this fight though, it makes it harder for both parties to work their jabs by placing their lead hand directly in front of their partners. Max Holloway is a keen jabber. He likes it, as most fighters do, to start off long combinations or to poke and upset from a distance. And taking this away has been a key to defeating Holloway throughout his storied career. Even Alexander Volkanovski, a naturally orthodox fighter, found his best success when circling away from Holloway's jab, drawing it out, and then firing across the top of it. As an exemplary southpaw, Poirier can not only use this stance to nullify his orthodox opponent's jab, but he'll also use his opponent's impotent lead hand as a rangefinder and target lock. Here's a classic example, as Poirier simply snatches Holloway's hand and fires a combination down the middle. Or here, where Holloway stands his ground, forcing Poirier to come in with a short, tight combination before angling out of the pocket. Holloway did develop a simple counter, the left hook, as Poirier reached his hand out to touch. As the fight was short-lived, we didn't get to see much of this, but it did serve to put Poirier on notice a few times. Here we see Poirier touch, throw, and have his shifting interrupted by Holloway's counter left. In the rematch, we see a far more developed Holloway use his left hook offensively rather than just defensively. Holloway's other way of dealing with the southpaw matchup was to lean through his straight punches as much as possible in an effort to gain extra range. We can see it land soundly in moments, but often it fails to account for a potential follow-up. As Holloway's weight is so far forward on his feet, he cannot continue to build upon his pressure. Instead, he falls forward and has to regather his stance, while Poirier is allowed an opportunity to circle and center. Compare this to a sequence from their rematch, where Holloway trapped Poirier against the fence and chose to just pin him there, keeping his feet planted for a whopping 9-piece combination. Now that is how you apply pressure. After taking Holloway down, Poirier was relentless with his submission threats. From mount, Poirier forced Holloway to address an Americana, and Holloway did so by turning and stripping Poirier's grip. However, by bringing his left arm into the open, he allowed Poirier to attack an arm triangle, wrapping his arm and head together and driving down. Holloway neutralized the threat quickly, but what was important for Poirier was that his aggression was keeping Holloway reacting and never building his own lead. Good pressure works just the same in grappling as it does in striking, forcing panic responses that a fighter can build from. Of course, Poirier does this as Holloway tries to make space and shrimp to his feet. As Holloway turns away to defend, he gives Poirier his back for a moment, and Poirier immediately attacks. Poirier isn't successful in attacking the back here, but he's making Holloway's moves for him by creating traps and forcing him into losing positions. When Holloway forces a scramble, Poirier's submission chains kick into gear once again. Taking advantage of a great position, Poirier rolls into a belly-down armbar and follows through to go belly up. Forced to act fast, Holloway turns himself to face Poirier and scrambles up, straight into a picture-perfect triangle choke. Poirier then pushes into mount, and for good measure, returns to his armbar. Unable to turn and scramble due to the triangle, Holloway is forced to submit. Once again, Dustin Poirier's pressure was the key to submitting a man who went unfinished for a decade after this fight. This fight isn't the best we've seen from Holloway or Poirier in the cage together, let alone their own respective careers. Both fighters went on to develop into legends of the game, indisputable in their legacies. But going back to their early days gives an insight into a simpler, rawer version of the styles they still operate today. We saw Max Holloway as a versatile and adaptable fighter, and we understood how Dustin Poirier operates as an expert in pressure fighting. As the sun sets on Dustin Poirier's career, and Max Holloway firmly enters the twilight of his own, looking back is a reminder of just how far they've come, whilst recognizing that even then, they had the potential to be something truly great. For the modern martial artist, this has been Coby McKinley, wishing you happy training.